Wow, what a terrific audience. Welcome into episode 10 of the Analog Sticks podcast, where this week we sit down with a friend and chat about everyone's favorite small mountain town in Colorado and the games that have come out of it. Let's go.
Let's go.
Hello and welcome back to Analog Sticks. My name is Rusty, his name is Cody, but this week neither of us matter because we have our first ever guest, professional South Park talker-abouter, sneaking up on 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, the anthropomorphic flower man himself, Blooms. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I like that intro. That was great.
I spent so much time cooking that up.
I had so many accolades.
You can tell he's the writer out of the two of us.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to talk about South Park, I guess. That's what I do, so.
Oh, yeah. I thank you for making some time to come out of your editing cave with the one light source to maintain your photosynthesis.
It's been brutal recently with the last video, but I made it, and I'm here, so.
Oh, I'm sure. Is there a release party for it?
It's already out. It came out today at like 3, so. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a fun one. I was waiting for it to drop. I was listening to something else and it was like 2:54. I'm like, I'm gonna sit around for 6 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, that one was a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm working on a little ranking video myself. Nothing nearly as serious as that. The source material is much simpler. So.
Hey, there's no such thing as serious in that context, I feel like.
Oh yeah.
Whatever.
Oh yeah, as long as you don't take it too serious, it can stay fun, right?
Exactly.
So for the people, real quick, would you like to introduce yourself and kind of explain what you do in your own words?
Sure. So my name is Blooms. I make YouTube videos about South Park mostly. I have videos on stuff other than South Park, but mostly South Park. I just like to talk about it. It's my favorite show, and I just like to make videos on it, and I guess that's really it.
Keep it simple. I can't say I blame you there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm a simple guy, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I did notice. I think I subscribed to you after your first South Park rankings video, which was every single episode, and it was very impressive.
Yeah. That was my first, big video. Before that, none of my videos even had, over, I want to say, 20,000 views at the time was my highest viewed video, and that was my very first video, which was also a South Park video. And then I was like, I'm gonna make this video, and obviously there's a bunch of videos about people ranking every episode of whatever, but no one had done one for South Park, so I was like, I like South Park, I could do this, and I don't know, I feel like it'll do well, and then it did. So here we are.
Doing all of them. I mean, that's an amazing undertaking. How long did that take?
Well, it officially took me 3.5 months ish to do the entire video, but I think if I did it now, it would probably if I was working long days on it, and if I was working on it now in the time that I put into my videos now, it would probably take 2 or 3 weeks of full-time work in reality. But back then I was a lot more busy, and I could only work for 1 or 2 hours a day, so it ended up taking 3 months ish, and then I had a bunch of issues with rendering it and uploading it and stuff, so that added to the time.
Yeah, that's always fun. We haven't run into any of those issues yet, and let's hope for the best. But
yeah, that's basically that was shocking today when I uploaded my video. It was literally the first time that I didn't have any issues with monetization or copyright strikes or anything. It just actually uploaded, and I was just absolutely shocked. And just nothing happened.
I was wanting to ask about that, because I was thinking, I saw your top video and you mentioned those copyright strikes, and just watching through some other ones, I was wondering, is that, how big of an issue is that for your channel?
It's an issue in the sense that it's just annoying because it just takes up time, in the sense that whenever it happens, which is basically every video at this point, either I have to dispute it and wait for them to clear it, which they almost always do end up clearing it, or I have to go back and just re-edit the video. And that's what happened with the my South Park movie video about Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. I like re-edited that like literally probably 11 different times and completely re-rendered it, each of which took like at least like 30 minutes to render. So it's like it was just a huge ordeal to get that done because of those copyright strikes. And in the end, I just ended up having to put like a border on all the video that I used, like all the South Park content, and that was the only way that it would let me like get around it. Like I tried cutting the clips down even shorter than they already were. Like I didn't use any clips that were longer than like 5 seconds, but the only thing that would work is the border. So when it's like that, that's very annoying. But most of the time, it just ends up being like when I first upload it, I'll get like striked or something, or I'll get a notice saying that it's like copyrighted, and then either I'll dispute it or I'll just do something like I'll just try to look at the part that they claimed and then just re-upload it, like edit it a little bit. So it's annoying, but it hasn't really stopped me or anything yet. So
It's like the full Matt and Trey experience, having
yeah,
to go back and forth like that.
yeah, literally yeah, it's like just like the movie. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's I couldn't even imagine. I hate it when I have to re-upload a video once, and I couldn't imagine having to do it more than once. That just sounds
Yeah,
miserable.
it does get very tedious. That's the worst part about doing this, definitely, is just like the the tediousness of those aspects of it, where it's just like these little things that you're not even creating anything, you're just trying to get around these horrible rules that YouTube has set up. So yeah, that's just the annoying part, but I still love it.
Oh yeah, I was surprised on your most recent, the one that came out today, the characters ranking, that you had some snippets in there from the show. I'm like, oh, getting a little
Yeah,
crazy with it today.
I really was testing the waters. I was like, because my general rule to try to avoid copyright that works sometimes is that I try to avoid anything over like 8 seconds long. Like that's like the cap I'll do for clips. And then, but for this video, there were so many clips I wanted to include that were longer than that I was just like, I'm just gonna test it and let's just see if this works. And then for like it just didn't get clip not copyrighted at all. And I woke up this because I uploaded it when I went to sleep last night, and I was just shocked when I woke up that nothing was like an issue. So I got lucky, I guess.
Yeah, fingers crossed it stays that way too, because you'd said one of them. I think it was which one was it? The Cartman's prison sentence.
Oh yeah, that one was weird because that wasn't even copyright. That was a demonetization thing, and I've never seen that happen before, where your video gets demonetized like so much later. Like if you get demonetized, it's basically always right at the start. Because I've had other videos get demonetized too, and then I appealed it, as I do with everything, and then it's gotten fixed. But with that one, it was up for like a month almost, I want to say, or like 3 weeks or something, and then it was at like it was at like 750,000 views or something at that point, and it was on track to be my most viewed video at that time. It was going to easily break like 1 million, and then all of a sudden it just got demonetized, which doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen. You don't get demonetized that late into a
Jeez, man.
video. Yeah, and then I appealed it, and they did a manual review, and they denied my appeal. And I was like, okay, well, I guess this video is just staying demonetized. And it was weird because I forgot what the actual thing was. Here, actually, I can look real quick. It was like the ruling was like, it was like controversial topics or something was the reason that it was. And I'm like, it's a cartoon. What do you mean controversial topics? I'm just talking about a dude that did a bunch of fake crimes. Like, I don't get it. But so that means that, and when they review it's like a manual review, like I said. So that means someone watched the video and still decided that no, this isn't allowed to be monetized. So
I think it could have
that
been
one,
something with where Cartman's in trouble for taking photos with Butters. Maybe
yeah, I
I
tried
remember
to,
that.
yeah, I tried to censor that as much as possible, and I think that part, I would be surprised if it was that part because of how much I censored that part. Like,
Hmm.
I feel like I censored that part a lot, but I don't know what it was, but they don't explain anything, so it's whatever. And I tweeted about this actually the other day because I still think about it because it annoys me. Like I said, that was on track to be easily my most viewed video. It was like popping off like harder than any video I had up to that point, and it easily would have broken 1 million views. It had like 750,000, and then as soon as it got demonetized, it just like the views just completely stopped, like just absolutely like just buried. Like it was like it was such a drastic drop. It went from getting like, I want to say like 40,000 views a day or 20,000 or something like that to like literally like not even 1,000, like on the hour
Jeez.
that it happened. And I'm like, and YouTube always claims that they don't affect
Hmm.
your getting demonetized doesn't affect anything when it comes to views, and that's literally just a lie. Like they're
Yeah.
just literally lying
Jeez.
because I just watched it happen to me.
You
So
know, Rusty was asking me, he's like, "Do you have anything you want to ask in this interview or chat?" And I was like, "We gotta ask about the copyright. I knew you had
yeah,
stuff to say about that."
yeah. You know, on my channel, I don't really like talk about me ever. So it's nice to just get on here and just actually talk about it because it just frustrates me so much. I'll tweet about it every now and then,
Mhm.
but it's just such an annoying process. The YouTube copyright system has been broken for years now, but it's kind of impossible to fix it. But regardless, whatever, I figure it out.
Oh yeah, I've heard some other creators say that doing YouTube full time is like having an amazing job with a terrible boss.
Yeah, that's a very good description. Like I love doing it, but it's just the platform is just so, I'm
Mhm.
not gonna say bad because it's not a bad platform, but it just is so against small creators or anyone trying to come up or anything. Like they don't really care about those type of people. But
Oh yeah, we're going
I
through
digress.
it. So
Yeah.
that was what I was saying with full time and stuff. Are you full time at this point? I know you said you were a student finishing up last
Yeah. No,
semester.
I'm not. I'm still a student. I actually that's why I couldn't. That's why I said 7:30 instead of 7 when you texted me
Ah,
because I was in class. So I do still go to school. I'm doing nursing. I'm a nursing
Oh,
student.
cool. Hey, we
Yeah,
need more of those. I'm in
yeah.
school too right now. I'm doing teaching.
Oh, that's cool. I have a friend that's going into teaching as well, and both my parents are teachers, so I'm very familiar with
Nice.
that. But yeah, I'm still in school. I definitely don't have to be. Like I'm making a very like good living off of this right now, but
Mhm.
um, I just want to have school just in case,
oh
something
yeah.
goes wrong. I don't think it will, but it's always good to have a backup plan. So,
So is YouTube
Yeah.
the full time plan after school? Is that what we're shooting for?
I'm not entirely sure. Ideally, that would be ideal. But I definitely could see myself doing like working like at nursing maybe like twice a week or something, like because nurses, they do super long shifts. They do like 12-hour shifts. That's like the only way people work nowadays in nursing because of all the shortage of nurses. So if anything, I'll probably do like one or two like 2-hour shifts a week, or not 2 hours,
Mhm.
12-hour shifts a week, and then after that try to be like as much time on my YouTube, because if I always wish that I had more time on YouTube, because I feel like I'm always busy doing other stuff, and I feel like I could get a lot done if I had more free time.
Mhm. I feel like it's kind of important though to have time outside of YouTube that you can then use and take to bring back with you, back into your videos, that
Yeah,
life
that is true.
experience outside
That is
of it.
very true. Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, it is nice in that sense, and I do enjoy nursing. Like, don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed what I've done so far. I'm only like 2 semesters away from graduating. I graduate in, I want to say, spring of next year.
Nice.
So I'm pretty close, and when I'm done with that, then I think in reality, when I finish, I'll probably take like a short break from YouTube, or not from YouTube, from nursing, like not necessarily try to get a job immediately, and just try to do YouTube for a while and see what happens with that, and then probably end up doing part-time somewhere.
That
Nice.
That is
sounds
the
like a good
plan.
plan right there.
Yeah, that's the ideal plan, but we'll see.
Oh yeah, and I wanted to know this as an aspiring creator myself, somewhat. I mean, we're very
Hmm.
small, just podcast audience and all that. It's hard to retain, and it's hard to
Yeah,
retain attention
podcasts
for an
are hard.
hour.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
How surreal has some of these success been on your more impressive projects, and like, what's the pressure like to follow some of those bigger videos up with more bangers, as they would say?
Well, what's weird about it is like the I have I have I know people are always like, I'm shocked, I never thought I would get this big and stuff. For me, and I'm not trying to come across as like a jerk or anything, or like cocky, but I'm like, it never has been surprising to me. Like in my mind, I've always been like, yeah, I'll become a big YouTuber one day. Like I know that sounds insane, but I've always been like, one day I'm just gonna be a YouTuber and that's what I'm gonna do. Like I've kind of always had that in my mind. So it's not really been surprising to me because, like I said, I have always felt like I'm gonna do this. But it is kind of weird. It's just weird to think about, if anything, because I'm very socially, like I have a lot of social anxiety and stuff, and I can't do like public speaking and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So I think about it in terms of that, and then I'm like, I can't even imagine speaking to a room of more than 15 people, let alone there like 2 million people, 2.4 million people watching this video, 100,000 people like took the time, almost 100,000 people took the time out of their day to click subscribe on my channel. You know, like the when I think about it like that, it's just it's something that's just incomprehensible, I guess. But when it comes to pressure, yeah, I can like after I have videos that get popular, it's like every video you upload, you're like, this one, I make every video with the intention of it being more popular than my most popular one. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
so there is a bit of pressure in that sense. Like you kind of do get wrapped up in the views sometimes. Like if a video doesn't do as well as I thought it would do, I'll get like a little upset about it, but then at the same time I kind of just try to take it as like, okay, well, let's see what I could have done better in that video to see what could I have done better to possibly make this a better video, and then try to learn from it. So that's I guess that's really the full extent of the pressure I feel on YouTube.
Mm.
That's good. With that being said, though, is your favorite video the most recent one essentially all the time, or do you have one that stands out as your pride and joy among the
Um,
pack?
that's definitely okay. There's definitely been videos that I've made that I haven't been as happy with how they come out. So I wouldn't say that my newest video is always my favorite. Right now, I don't even think that in terms of like quality, like true quality, I don't even necessarily think that the video I uploaded today is my highest quality video. I still do believe that my every South Park controversy video is probably my highest quality video, and obviously the views reflect that. But even when I first uploaded that, that was definitely like I could tell when I uploaded that. I'm like, this is a really good video. Like this is definitely my best video by far, and I think I still feel that way in terms of what is my best video. I'd say probably still that.
That's got to feel good to feel confident about it, and then see it, actually reflect that confidence.
Yeah, yeah. That one was like because the video I uploaded right before that was it was like revisiting
Hmm.
my worst to best episodes list, like
Hmm.
going back in it and rating the new season and all that kind of
Confirming
stuff.
Pip sucks.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And for that, like that was the first time I like really that video was the first video I really wanted to go in on the editing and like try really hard to make it like entertaining outside of just what I'm saying, like make the editing really good and that kind of stuff. And I did that. I spent a lot of time working on that video, and I could tell that it was like the editing was my best editing up to that point and all that. And I felt good about it. And then the video came out, and it did okay, but it didn't do like super good. And I was like, I was like confused. I was like, I wonder why this didn't do as good.
Hmm.
And then I thought about it, and I was like, well, it's it's kind of a niche topic. Like not everyone saw that original video and stuff, so it makes sense as to why it didn't do as good. So then I took that same attitude I had of I want to edit this as well as possible, and then I immediately put it into the controversy video. And then with that, I thought the controversy video, I'm like, this is a genius idea too. Like if I can pat myself on the back for
Yeah.
this one, like doing every South Park controversy, no one's done that, and everyone knows South Park is controversial, so people that don't even watch South Park are going to click on it and that kind of stuff. So like, it's kind of like a combination. That's what like I feel like the success comes from is just a combination of factors. You have to have a good idea, and then you have to edit it well, and it's just a bunch of different things. So that's why
Yeah.
the actual views are like so. I don't really care that much about it because I look at it and I see, okay, well, what part of that do I need to work on this time, and then I'll do better on the next one. I guess that's my thought process.
Oh yeah, reaching a broader audience is definitely something that goes into effect
Yeah,
with that. You can make the best video
exactly,
ever if it's not appealing to everybody, it's gonna
exactly.
tank. Like my pride and joy video, I would say, is covering an indie game and speed running, which is a little bit niche, of course.
Yeah, that's
It
a pretty
has
neat
not
topic.
gotten it got good views for what it is, but it's not
Uh-huh.
like
It's the a short hike, genuinely our best recording by far. But yeah, it's
Mhm.
just a game people haven't heard of as much, so it really doesn't get the views.
Meanwhile, last week I threw together a Mario Odyssey Sporkle video, and it's done like the best of any of our videos. I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, that's kind of the golden rule too. It always feels like the videos that you just don't expect are the ones that also do well a lot of the time. Like you can put so much work into something, and then the one that you just like threw together will like pop off. That kind of happened to me early on with the that like short. I made a YouTube short of every Cartman crime in one breath or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like I listed all of his crimes in one breath, and I didn't expect anything from that, but that got like 300,000 views, which for the time was like one of my highest viewed things. And I was like, I literally spent like, that was literally my first take of that. Like I just did it in one breath, and I didn't even do it again. I did it one try, and I just did it, and then I edited it together, and then that's all it was. It literally took like 30 minutes to make that video, when I spend like hours on other videos that don't do as well. So that's just how it goes.
I was going to ask if you did that in one try, because that's a lot, and you need a lot of breath for that.
Yeah, I was actually surprised I did it on the first try. I was just reading it off. Like I had a list of them, and I was just reading them, and I just went for it, and I just did it. I was shocked, honestly. But that type of stuff, I used to be really into like rapping when I was a kid. Like I used to like I can still like rap all of Rap God and stuff by Eminem. Like I have it all memorized. So I've always like, and I can hold my breath for a long time too. Like I can hold my breath for like 2 minutes probably. So I have good like that kind of stuff. So yeah, I guess I was just born for that role, I guess.
That's impressive. Well, we've got you though. We've got an expert on South Park somewhat. Next best thing after Matt Stone and Trey Parker. What's your favorite South Park game, and why is it the 1998 N64 game?
The 1998 N64 game is just, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't played it unfortunately, but
can't say I blame you.
Yeah, I've heard about it though, and I've heard it's an interesting game. That's the one. Is that the one where you like run around and throw the snowballs around, or am I thinking of something else?
That is that game. You have it correct.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
I played the game, so you guys don't have to. The graphics aren't good.
Yeah, I haven't had the fortune of yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the graphics aren't good, the controls aren't good, the audio isn't good, the levels aren't good, and the gameplay, believe it or not, it's not good.
Now I kind of want to play it just to experience it, now that you have described it, because I love not good stuff.
Yeah,
so.
is it the kind of bad where it's like kind of funny how bad it is, or is it just bad?
I felt uncomfortable playing it kind of bad. It's an uninspired first-person shooter. Like in level 1, you're playing with the Dr. Mephisto's mutated turkeys are chasing you all through the town. And it's not to scale at all. The streets feel way too big and the buildings feel way too small. And they have this big like fog cloud surrounding everything just within the render distance. It's like super liminal and creepy, and I don't understand it.
Yeah, I've never actually even owned an N64 now that I think about it. So I've never got to play that one, and my parents surely would not have let me play that anyway. So
yeah, I think we can all agree to forget that one exists and pretend Chef's Love Shack. Have you dabbled with this at all?
I have not. I've seen it because of the iceberg video that I made.
Oh.
There was a slight like small part of that where it was in like the very bottom tier of the iceberg that Stan is Scottish, because that's like part of the like intros from the host of the game show or whatever. Like when he's introing Stan, he says he's from like the Scottish Highlands or something. So I have seen it, and I know it's like a game show style game, but I once again, I've never played that one, unfortunately.
It's great. The premise, the intro to it, Chef's Love Shack, so you get a good chef love song, you know. And
those are the best, honestly. So
I miss Chef. It's so sad.
Tell me about it.
But it's a bad party trivia game where they quiz you on like stuff from the first few seasons of the show. There are some mini games, and believe it or not, this game's also not good. But Chef's hosting it. Normally, it would be like 4 single ladies to take Chef home or whatever. But due to a lack of hot female ladies, we have 4 South Park elementary school students, and
that's pretty funny.
That's the premise of it.
Maybe I need to play that then. I think I might play that on stream, see if I can get the questions right.
Well, we've got this list of all the South Park games that we're running down. There might be a few more you haven't heard of. Seems like.
I think I've heard of all of them just because, like I said, for the iceberg, I did a lot of research, but I definitely have not played like any of them except for obviously the ones that we'll get to, but
the ones that matter.
Yeah.
I was in GameStop. No, it wasn't even GameStop. It was a local game store, and I'm like, oh, cool, you guys have the South Park game. And the guy's like, anything other than Stick of Truth, and this was before Fractured But Whole. He's like, Stick of Truth is the only one that counts. That's not a South Park game. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
we've also got South Park Rally, which is a bad kart racer with bad audio, bad tracks, and bad controls. The way that
I'm familiar with that one. Yes.
the way they do the laps is you have to basically go through the checkpoint, and it's so bad. The steering is okay. Like, it's honestly not a terrible kart racer, but if you're gonna play a kart racer on the N64, just get Mario Kart.
Yeah, literally. What's the purpose?
Yeah, it's a mess. I mean, we've got the two South Park Live, no, the Xbox Live arcade titles, South Park Let's Go Tower Defense and South Park Tenerman's Revenge. Have you seen anything with these games?
I've seen the tower defense one because I mean it's just a tower defense, but I've never seen actually any gameplay of the Scott Tenerman one.
Oh yeah, it was fun to look up, but I would say that this was where they started to figure out where they would be going with the games in the future. I saw that the games aren't good. I haven't played these two. I didn't have any means of doing so. But I mean, you start getting the themes of enemies. You get in tower defense, you get to fight hippies, gingers, crab people.
Yeah,
and that's
it's
a
like
theme.
Actually like it seems like they actually had some input on it.
Yeah,
and just, yeah.
And it's just some of the towers you have. You have like the P-tron, which is just like the cheese and cat stand, and lasers, which are a mirror and a light. It's interesting. I
know of the tower defense one because again for my iceberg there was one of the things is that they gave like 10 custom South Park Xbox 360s to the people with like the highest scores in that game, like directly from South Park Studios. Yeah. So yeah,
love to see what one of those pop up on eBay for one day.
Yeah. Yeah, there's only like, I think they said it's actually 9 because South Park Studios has one, but there's only like 9 known to exist outside of that. So
that's still awesome. I couldn't even imagine having that. Getting into Tenerman's Revenge, though, it's a 2D platformer that kind of looks interesting. Every character has slightly different controls, kind of like Super Mario 2, and they use the license in a much better way than the N64 games, but it looks to be a little bit more South Park centric. But
that's very interesting. I'm actually going to look up a picture of it.
Oh yeah, but let's be real. The real reason we're here is for 3 games and Phone Destroyer. South Park: The Stick of Truth and The Fractured But Whole. How familiar are the two of you with these games? Blooms, you first.
I've played them both twice because I played them once by myself and then I played them with my girlfriend. So I've played both of them twice.
I played Stick of Truth twice. Once a long while ago, and another time recently for our show. And I got like a quarter of the way through Fractured But Whole. I still need to finish that game, but for this conversation, I spoiled the story for myself, so I can at least be, in this conversation.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm guessing the grid system did you in with Fractured But Whole.
I'll be honest, it did. Because I started playing it when it first came out, and I don't know, there were just a bunch of other games sitting in my Steam library, so I ended up jumping over to something else.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, starting with Stick of Truth, Blooms, if you had to give a 10-word or less review on this game, what would it be?
Ooh, that's an interesting question.
You can bend the rules a little bit. I'm not strict.
10 words or less. No, I'm gonna try to stick in the rules. Stick of Truth. Incredibly profane. Extremely funny. Kind of. That's 2. I'll say kinda as 1.
Okay, I'll give you 1.
Kinda average gameplay. Lots of references. That's my official review.
Very good. Yeah, I love everything to do with this game. Like you said, the gameplay is pretty mediocre. It's a basic RPG, which is why I think they made the Fractured But Whole more complicated.
Yeah.
But the fan service here is phenomenal.
Yeah, I had actually never played I don't really play RPGs at all, and I had never played especially a turn-based RPG. Like that has never even crossed my mind because I am very short attention span. Like I just kind of like to move on to stuff, and that's like the opposite of that. But like they make the gameplay for what it is about as good as it can be, I feel like, in that game.
Mhm.
Because like I said, it's still a turn-based RPG, so it's not like the gameplay can be that interesting, but they substitute the actual like gameplay, like the with like plenty of like funny things that happen that like aren't always repetitive. Like there's not a lot that's super repetitive. Obviously a lot of the like ultimate attacks or whatever they were would start to get repetitive after you saw them,
Mhm.
but um for the most part, like it doesn't really matter that the gameplay isn't like my style of game, because everything else about the game is just so like hilarious and perfect, I feel like.
Oh yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, if you want our full thoughts, we did a whole episode on the Stick of Truth. We'll spare the
Mhm.
audience the details of it, but basically we love this game. We love all the writing and the references and stuff, and
Yeah.
the combat and exploration and whatnot are okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate the Chin Pokemon being the collectibles and all that. It's
Yeah.
it's
That made me
great.
laugh.
And the
I
theming
yeah.
is so good.
No. Yeah, everything the game is just perfect. Like I just love how they really make it feel, it just feels like you're in a South Park episode. Like
Yes.
that's why they met. It's like so perfect in that sense, because like the kids' weapons are all like it like everything feels like it was made by kids, all their costumes, all their weapons, all that kind of stuff, all the collectibles and all that kind of stuff. Like it's just so well done in terms of theming and especially writing. Like the story is hilarious too, with the Taco Bell and the aliens and the Hitler zombies and all that kind of stuff. Like it's great. It's perfect, and the ending is hilarious too. I love all of it.
I can't believe Princess Kenny would turn on his teammates like that.
I know
It's
she
so
betrayed them.
disappointing. That game is so good. But do you think that one's better than its immediate sequel, The Fractured But Whole?
Well, okay, so this is, I don't know if many people agree with me on this, but maybe it's a hot take, maybe not. I feel like the Fractured But Whole was also a very, very good game. I think the gameplay in the Fractured But Whole, I know a lot of people didn't like the grid system. Like it sounds like you guys didn't, but I actually enjoyed the grid system somewhat. And I thought the gameplay all around was better than the Fractured But Whole, or no, than the Stick of Truth. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
but the story was still very funny, but I don't think it was at the same level as the Stick of Truth. And but that, I felt like that was kind of like, I want to say incidental. I don't know if that's the right word, but that I feel like the story couldn't have been as good because it is the second game. So it's like they kind of like all the references and stuff that you saw in the first game, they're not just going to repeat them for the second game. So
Yeah.
in that sense, I don't think it could have been as good. Um, but I still love the Fractured But Whole. It's still one of my favorite games ever. So yeah.
Oh, it's great. I couldn't agree with you more there. I actually don't mind the grid system. There were times I felt it got a little annoying or inconvenient, but I understood why they did it like that.
Yeah.
It was a gameplay enhancer slash restrictor, and
Yeah. Yeah. I do also think that the Fractured But Whole is, I I do think it's harder, like all around, like in terms of like,
Mhm.
I played on just the normal difficulty, but
You're
in
telling me you
terms of
didn't make
difficulty,
yourself African
no,
American?
I didn't go for the harder the harder settings. I didn't want to bang my desk up. But it was definitely a harder game, and it required a lot more like actual strategy. Whereas the Stick of Truth, you could kind of just spam the same move over and over again and get the battles
Mhm.
over with and get back to the cutscenes and the funny part and the collecting, all that stuff. But this game actually felt more like a video game than the Stick of Truth, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely felt more like an actual game. And like I said, the what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the story and the immersiveness is still good. Like it's still there, but it's not on the same level as the first game in my eyes.
Yeah, this still feels like it could have been an episode of South Park and nobody would have batted an eye. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just you couldn't bake in all those same references and reuse every detail you did in Stick of Truth
exactly,
without it feeling
exactly.
so samey. So we're on the
Yeah,
same
for
page with
sure.
that too. I mean, if you had to pick one standout thing to be the best in each of these games, what would you say it would be? I mean, is it the story?
Hmm, that's a definitely in the Stick of Truth. The Stick of Truth, it's kind of, I guess it's not really one thing, but it's a like just the overall immersiveness, I guess is the best way to say that. Like the overall like feeling that you are in a South Park episode is just like so good. It just feels like you're in a South Park episode. But then the Fractured But Whole, I think, what would be the best aspect of the Fractured But Whole? Probably, I'm actually blanking now. I can't even think of what I said I liked about the game.
You said you liked the gameplay better, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that was probably the best part of the game. Well, I still think the story is better than the gameplay in the Fractured But Whole, but the gameplay is definitely significantly better in the Fractured But Whole. So I guess there's not really one single thing that I could say for the Fractured But Whole, but just the game all around is just still a great game, honestly.
I love it.
I loved that it picked up right at the end of the first
Yeah,
game.
I thought that was hilarious too. That literally like the next day, basically.
Only thing
Like
that drove me nuts with that is I couldn't get the same hair I used in the Stick of Truth
Yeah.
in the Fractured But Whole. I unlocked it eventually, but I was mad that I looked doofy.
I was
coming
surprised
off
they
the
didn't have a
toilet.
way to just like port your character over or something.
Yeah,
Oh, that's fun.
they should have done that.
One thing I
Maybe
think
they will in the new one, though.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cody. What was that?
Maybe they will in the new one.
I wouldn't count on it. I think the way that the Fractured But Whole did the theming of the whole superhero motif was really good, and the way that they were just trying to make their Netflix series or whole
That's true.
franchise was amazing, and the way Dr. Timothy ties it all together, the way they do that is pristine South Park writing, and I love everything about it.
I agree. Yeah, and I thought the ending of that was pretty funny too, with the whole Mitch Connor and all that kind of stuff. Like that was a pretty good ending for that.
I do love how as soon as Mitch Connor shows up, it's was it Kyle who's just like, no, I'm done.
Yeah, literally. Kyle knows enough at this point.
Oh, and then at the ending with the whole big cutscene there, where Mitch Connor's getting, what is it, inducted as mayor? I don't know the term. I'm missing it. And then there's two Mitch Connors, and Kyle's like, "I'll admit I'm fucking with you if you admit you're fucking with me."
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
3, 2, 1.
I actually forgot about all that until you just said that. So yeah, that game, the writing in that game is still pretty good, I will say, because I forgot about all that, and I forgot about. You just reminded me of the fact that like you go through time and all that.
Yeah, the Morgan Freeman's time parts
at the end of the game too. Like back, you go like. Yeah, I completely forgot about that until just now.
It's all.
Wait, you go back in time for real?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get time farts. You can go forward in time, backwards in time. At the end, unfortunately, your farts are so powerful, you go 10 days in the future when you just meant to make it like 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
And at that point, the town's in anarchy, and the woodland critters are running wild. They still do pretty good with the references.
Yeah, that's the part that's like dear to my memory.
And you have Santa fighting on your side. There's so much I love about this game. I heard, I don't know what this was, whether it was a developer interview or what it was, but apparently Ubisoft was having problems with too much writing material. Like Matt and Trey would turn in like 800 pages, and they'd be like, "We can't put all this in the game."
That doesn't surprise me at all. They're always overdoing it.
Oh, I'm sure you have something to say about this being, the South Park somewhat expert you are. What are your thoughts on the censorship they had to go through with Stick of Truth? Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, I actually talked about this in my iceberg as well.
Okay. I think I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was, I mean, I guess it makes sense. I know that, because you're talking about the European and like Australian copies where it was censored there,
yep.
Right? Yeah, it makes sense because obviously those countries have stricter like regulations on their media and that kind of stuff. And I actually didn't know this, but I actually read it in a comment. Someone commented on the iceberg video, and it wasn't even the countries themselves that censored it. It was like Ubisoft that censored it basically preemptively, just so that they wouldn't get blocked in those countries. Which it's like, I don't know. It's kind of lame that they have to censor stuff, because obviously I'm a huge South Park fan. I don't really believe in censorship of any kind. And it sucks that they have to censor it, but I get it. I get they want to sell to a larger market and they don't want to, whatever. But I know that the Steam games are actually not censored in those countries. It's only the console copies. So
yeah, there you go. If you're in Australia or Europe, Play it on Steam for the definitive
Yeah.
experience. If you want
But
to
I
see
do think
Randy
the way
getting
they
pegged by an anal probe,
yeah, literally. I think the way that they handled it though is about as good as you could handle it with the splash screens with like the the one in Australia was like it's like a splash screen of a crying
Oh yeah.
koala,
what is
yeah.
it? Yeah, koala. I don't know. I can remember the name. The crying koala, and it's like it has like the text under it. So that's probably the best way that they could have possibly handled that. But yeah,
Oh, after hearing your video on the South Park movie, which go check that out if you haven't, and how they fought the ratings people for the movies, I'm surprised they didn't try to go back and forth and really toe the line there. But they
yeah,
were proud of their product and it got cleared in America, so I see why they just wanted
yeah.
to
I
push
think
it
that's
through.
all we cared about. Honestly, was the American market.
And that
Yeah,
is their target demographic. Go ahead.
I've been watching your videos just to prep for this for the past few days, and the one I just watched right before this was your video about the movie. So when we're done talking, I'm gonna go straight to the movie. Like I gotta
Oh
watch it
yeah,
now.
you got it. It's a great movie, as I'm sure you know my feelings on it now. It's
Oh, I know.
fantastic.
You convinced me.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's great.
My fiance and I restarted watching South Park last week, and I made a stipulation: we have to watch the movie after we finish season 3.
Yeah, you
And
have to watch it after season 3. That's like the rule.
like I've always known, I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard people talk about it even before your video, and I'm like, I get it. But now it's available on Paramount Plus. I'm like, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
So
It's great. Like I said, it's probably in top 5 like any out of any South Park stuff at all, like easily in my eyes.
well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, it's great.
Back to these games for a second. If we're gonna critique them, if we're gonna nitpick, what would you say is the worst thing about Stick of Truth and then Fractured But Whole? What's the one thing you're like, I really wish this wasn't here, or they changed this a little bit?
Think of truth, definitely my biggest critique is that by the end, not really even the end, like once you're like halfway through the game, all the fighting is just like pretty easy because you get stacked really easily in that game. And then everything from then on out, it just feels like every time you have to fight someone, you're just like, oh, I have to fight now. Like this is kind of just annoying. I wish I could just basically skip this and just like do everything else. So that's my biggest critique of the Stick of Truth. Definitely is that it just gets a little repetitive, and it's like the fighting just becomes a little easy and tedious, I guess.
God, Butter's special attacks for me were the worst.
Yeah, for sure. They were very broken.
Oh, it's so good. We talked about this when we covered the game. Basically, we each found a combo that worked really well just to take out the whole field in like 2 turns.
Yeah, literally.
And that's
I
kind of the
remember
whole thing.
with Butters, you could do the wheel spin thing, and that's the one that I would always use, and just hopefully get I forgot which one I would want specifically, but there was one that was really good. I would just hope to get that one every time.
You can actually time the wheel out if you're dedicated enough and get
Really?
good.
I didn't even know that. I don't think.
Yeah, I got pretty consistent.
I thought it was just random.
I don't know what it is with dice blocks and wheels when they're on a set. You can press it at this time. I dedicate myself to timing it, and I got pretty good at getting Chaos to do the hammer of lightning or whatever it was.
That's the one that I was looking forward to, actually. I didn't even know you could time it. That's funny.
Oh, yeah. But moving on to the Fractured But Whole, what would you say is the worst thing in your eyes with this game?
See, I don't know why I have a harder time thinking about the Fractured But Whole. I'm trying to think of what I would consider bad in the game. I guess I do feel like the combat did get a bit overcomplicated sometimes. Like it kind of had the opposite issue from time to time as the Stick of Truth. But for the most part, I think all around that was sorry, I just burped. I think all around that was a more like cohesive combat experience, I guess, like actual game. But there were definitely moments when I got like there were certain parts. Like I remember I can't remember what part it was, but there was one part that I was stuck on for a little bit, and it was like such a long battle, and I kept dying at like the very end, and I was just getting so frustrated by that. So I guess moments like that were the only like real issues I had with the Fractured But Whole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I personally remember by the time I got into Mephisto's lab, I was like over the combat. I did not want to fight any of the 6th graders.
Yeah.
And you have to, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure.
That's fine.
There was a lot of time I spent in that game. I remember trying to like set up like you know how in those games you can like take out the enemies before you even get into an actual fight with them.
Yes,
You
and
know
I
what I
love
mean?
that.
Yeah, I that was one of the better aspects of the game is that you could do that with a lot of stuff like pretty often. So that was always nice to try to get around like battles with those
Oh yeah,
um
love some good
things.
overworld puzzles to skip combat.
Yeah, literally.
Oh yeah, we can spend 2 minutes on Phone Destroyer real quick. How
Okay.
familiar are you with Phone Destroyer?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually not at all. I've never played
Really?
it at all, just because I don't really play games on my phone anymore. I used to a lot, and if I feel like if I was still in like high school, I probably would have played it.
Let
But
me
it
try
can't.
to guess what it is because I haven't heard of it even.
Oh, well,
Is it a
there's.
tapping?
It's not. No, they. I feel like Matt and Trey in their episode on, what is it, Freemium Gaming, they were
Premium
pretty
games, yeah.
against a game like that. So it's more involved. There are still some predatory practices in there, like your loot boxes and all that fun stuff. But it is not a tap and wait kind of deal. So it's fun.
Yeah, I actually don't know. I really don't know anything about the game. I know I want to play it because people have told me that it has like original like cutscenes and like it has its own stuff in it, but I just have never gotten around to it.
There are about 7 cutscenes in the whole thing, and you have to grind on the multiplayer to get them all, which is kind of a downside if you just
Uh,
want to experience the story.
so
Um,
is it like a card game almost or something? Like I feel like
a
that's
little
what
bit,
it.
a little bit. It's
Okay.
there's an arena, you drag and drop your cards, your
So
energy is
it's like
constantly
Clash
refilling.
Royale kind of. Have you played Clash Royale?
I have not, no.
It's like the Clash of Clans, like
Yeah, I'm
basically
familiar. I
like
haven't played it
Yeah.
though.
yeah. I feel like how you're describing it, it sounds exactly like that. I'm sure the people in the comments will let us know.
Oh yeah, it's real time combat. You're playing against another actual person the whole
Yeah,
time. The
that makes
matchmaking's a
sense.
little slow nowadays at times. Like I was
Hmm.
playing a couple months ago, I played Fractured But Whole, and they used the Phone Destroyer intro audio. I'm like, I'm gonna play Phone Destroyer. Tee hee. Yeah, there goes 2 months of my life and $5 I'm never gonna get back. Uh,
That's funny.
that's
They
another
got
thing,
you.
though. I found that the ending cutscene is great. There's alternate endings to Phone
Yeah,
Destroyer.
I actually have seen that because I saw like a it was like recommended to me on YouTube or something, all the different ending cutscenes for the game, like if you spend money or not, basically.
Yeah, if you spend X amount of money, they're like, oh yeah, we made this much money at the end of this. Thank you for your contributions. You should go check out mobile gaming addiction resources.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Like I put $5 into it, and they're like, "Oh, really? This is all we get? Pretty cheap, huh? Man, we should
That's
have
good.
charged them up front like they did in the old days, or something like that."
That's
Yeah,
good.
it's fun. That's all we really have on Phone Destroyer. Some of the themes are really good. I like what they do with the cards there. Let's go ahead and get into our speculating caps on though. Earlier this month, or
Mm.
was that last month at this point? I don't even remember. We got a teaser in a THQ presentation that a new South Park Studios game is in development, and that's all we know to this point. So, I gotta ask you guys, what do you think it's gonna be? Are we expecting another turn-based RPG, or maybe more action adventure or something
Uh,
like that?
I honestly have no idea. Like I can't even because I feel like at this point they'd probably be like, what else can we do in the turn-based RPG, style? I feel like they'd probably be a little done with that. And um, knowing Matt and Trey, they don't like take like when they're doing this kind of stuff, they don't only like put a small amount of time into it. Like they're gonna go full out for whatever they're doing. So I really have no clue. Like I can't even really speculate because I don't even know what genre they would be interested in. My thought is maybe something kind of like a virtual board game or something like that because I know that they're big board game fans. So maybe they'll do something like that. But other than that, I really have no clue.
Cool. What's I'm trying to think like what stuff they could that would be a good theme to satirize, because they did the superheroes when I think superhero movies were super big.
Yeah.
And they did fantasy for Game of Thrones. I'm curious about
Hmm.
themes, but my one thing that I'm really hoping for, being a big Zelda fan, along with Trey Parker, I'm hoping that they do like a full-on action adventure exploration combat something or other. I
Oh,
would
that'd
love
be
to see
cool.
that.
That would be very
A
cool.
South Park take on Zelda. Oh,
Yeah, that would be interesting. I would like to see that.
I would love
Whatever it
it.
is, since it's being developed by THQ, I feel pretty confident that it'll be good.
For the most part, yeah. Do you guys think
Yeah,
that they would lean into another theme like they did with fantasy or superheroes?
I feel like they would almost have to, because that's what they maybe the only at this point the only trilogy I believe that they haven't used for that would be Imagination Land. I don't think they would
Hmm.
necessarily do that, but whenever they do stuff like this, like specials or anything, they always have like an overarching theme for it, I feel like. So I feel like they would definitely do something like that.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna get something out of left field here because they put the Stick of Truth into development before they did the Console Wars episodes, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but I think I've seen that. And I think that they could do something like that again, where they have a theme planned already, and they're gonna make a trilogy on it to go with the episode in some
Yeah,
capacity. I'd
that would
love to
make
see
sense.
that.
That would definitely make sense, because I remember at the very last episode of Black Friday or the Console Wars, um, the last thing Cartman says is he picks up a stick off the ground. He's like, "Oh, maybe we can play with this," and then he holds it up, and it's like, "Buy the Stick of Truth now!" Like it's like a thing.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
that I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that.
yeah. My only thing is I have no clue what they could do. Like, what would you see kids nowadays playing as? Like,
Yeah,
what's the
I
biggest piece of media there is? Game of Thrones is
That's
making a revival, but that's all I can think.
I'm
yeah.
excited to think about how much content there is now for this new game. Like all the stuff that's happened between now and Fractured
Hmm.
Butthole.
Yeah,
It's gonna be good.
Oh,
I'm very excited as well.
and I mean, Cody, I know you're not the biggest South Park enjoyer of all time, but what
Mhm.
aspects of the show nowadays would you guys love to see put into a game? Whether it's integrity and credigree, whether or not they're ending, or Cartman's hot dog house, for instance. What
I
themes
actually,
or ideas would you guys like to see put into the game?
I'm excited for whatever Randy's up to.
Ugh,
I mean, to me, he's always one of the best characters in the games.
yeah, I agree.
yeah.
I would be interested to see how they would incorporate Tegrity into a game, because I almost feel like Tegrity would be better suited for like a video game than the show itself, because I know a lot of people don't like Tegrity, obviously,
Mhm.
but I almost feel like it would make more sense in a video game setting in that way. So I feel like that would be pretty interesting to see. Trying to think of what else. I don't remember. Was PC Principal really in the Fracture of a Whole, or was that before?
He was in the Fractured But Whole. It was a minimal role. He teaches you how to use microaggressions against your
Oh, that's right.
opponents.
That's right. That's right. Yeah,
He's got some
yeah,
Facebook message, no, Instagram messages he sends your
yeah,
way, and it's well
yeah.
written.
I feel like they would definitely incorporate like PC Principal and Strong Woman also, now that she's in there,
I'll
Mhm.
probably
into
see some
the
PC babies in the background or something.
in the PC babies. Yeah, I could
Oh,
definitely. Yeah, they have created, like, the show nowadays is so different from even when the Fractured But Whole came out. So it would be interesting to see what they would include in that.
I mean, shoot, or even compared to Stick of Truth, you still fight quote unquote Man Bear Pig instead of
Yeah,
actual Man Bear Pig, which
yeah.
I could see them bringing that in as like a secret boss or even a
Oh yeah,
story boss.
that's a good point. I bet that would be very prominent actually, because he's been very prominent in like the last like specials, and even season 22 is when he was like had the whole storyline with Al Gore and Satan and all that. So I'm sure they would bring Man Bear Pig into
Oh
it.
yeah, I could see us having to fight Chuck Pig Bear Girl. Was that her name?
Yeah,
Pig Bear Girl
yeah,
and
yeah,
Man
something
Bear
like that.
Pig all at once. Oh, I'd love it.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I want them to give them more of a story, anyways, because they kind of didn't really do that much with them in the streaming wars. So it would be interesting to learn. Maybe from the game we could learn some more about them too.
Oh,
Mhm.
I'm so excited for it. I'd love to see everything they have in store. One rumor that we did have before this game was even teased, it was earlier this year. There were rumors that some studio I'd never heard of was in development for a 3D South Park game. Do you think they're going to lean into a full 3D world with this, or expect more of that same kind of two and a
I
half D
would
from?
be. I think I would be surprised if they did 3D, because I just feel like it wouldn't really. I mean, they could do 3D, but I would see them doing it in like almost like still like a 2D style, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
Like I can't. They could do like like more depth and all that kind of stuff, but I really can't see them doing a full on like 3D like third person like game like that. I could not see that happening. I feel like that would be it just wouldn't really make sense either because that's not really South Park then because South Park is 2D, you know. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
My thought is if you were to give camera controls to the user, you have to compromise the art style in one way or another, and I'm not sure
Yeah,
they'd want
that's
to
what I
make that
mean.
jump.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what they if the last two games are any sort of indication, they care a lot about the South Park experience, I guess is so that I doubt they would do something like that.
Oh yeah. And last thing on this, do you guys expect something from season 26? Do you expect the trilogy or something like that? Or are we expecting something with the new specials next year to tie into this game? Because they haven't
They're
given us a
definitely
release date or anything. It could even be season
yeah.
27.
I would imagine I think they definitely will tie it in. I don't know if it'll necessarily even be season 26. Yeah, yeah, like you said, it could be season 27 or something. I find it hard to believe that they wouldn't tie it in because I think both the previous games have been tied in some way at least. So I would definitely expect that in some sense. But I guess then that's a way that maybe we can get some information early is just analyzing the seasons leading up to it and seeing what the vibe is in those seasons. You know.
Oh yeah. Last thing for you, Blooms, before we tidy this up. Do you have any plans for analyzing these games on your own channel anytime soon, or are you letting them stand more on your own and focusing on the show?
I've definitely considered it. I've basically considered every like South Park idea you can think of at this
I'm
point.
sure.
Um, I've definitely considered doing it. I don't know if I actually will end up doing it. If I do, it probably isn't going to be anytime soon because I have a couple other ideas like kind of lined up already. Um, but it's definitely a possibility because there have been videos on like the Stick of Truth and the Fractured But Whole,
A lot.
but
Yeah.
yeah, obviously it's a pretty saturated market, but
Mhm.
I still feel like there is some stuff that could be said about it that like people haven't really said yet. So it's definitely a possibility. I'm not making any promises, but maybe one day it'll happen.
Maybe give it some time, and down the line you can do like a retrospective or something like that, similar
Yeah,
to the
yeah, like
musical,
a
for
look.
instance.
Maybe when the next game comes out or something, maybe like a looking back at the two previous South Park games or something like that.
It might do well. It very well may.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, shoot, we try to capitalize on that a little bit with the episode 3 South Park's The Stick of Truth. I did a ranking
Yeah,
on all the friends you can make in that game. Of course, obviously it's not getting as much search SEO on that, but it's still a lot of fun to talk about, and I think that there is potential with something like that, especially down the line. I'm excited for
exactly.
whatever you may have in store.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I just make stuff on whatever I find interesting at the time. So right now, South Park is what I find interesting. If I find something else interesting, I'll make a video on it. So anything is possible, really. You know?
Dude, you gotta tell the channel when you graduate because I'm super excited for whatever you do once you have all the time.
Yeah, I'll make sure to let everyone know
Yeah.
when that does happen.
As much as we'd like it to go forever, unfortunately, South Park will one day have an end, and I'm sure you'd like to
Yeah,
have something to do after that. So,
yeah, literally. So,
uh,
um, but yeah, I mean, I do plan on. I've been saying this forever, and people always roast me about it in the comments. But I do plan on making non-South Park videos as well. But
just
right
gotta get
now,
it while the getting's good.
I'm
Right now.
yeah, I'm kind of in my mind. It's like I'll build my channel up to have
Yeah,
like a solid following, and I'll do it with South Park, and then once I have that like solid fan base, which I already do have a very solid fan base, but once it's like it's built up enough to the point where I'll feel comfortable doing whatever, then I'll just do whatever, and I'll have fun doing it. So
yeah.
that's
At
what
some
all it is.
point, it'll be less that you're the South Park guy and more that you are Blooms and like whatever you
Yeah,
put out,
that's
is
kind of
gonna
the
be
goal.
quality.
Yeah, that's kind of like why I've also with the like we talked about earlier when with the what was it, revisiting my South Park ranking when I decided to
Mhm.
like really focus on the editing and stuff. That was a big part of it because I wanted it to be more than just, you know, I don't want people to be clicking on my channel for South Park. I want them to be clicking on my channel for me talking about South Park, but also, you know, it mainly just like my style of video. And
hmm
I feel like I can apply it to more things, and one day I will. So
And I gotta say, the
yeah,
way you did that with tying in the whole Pip thing was phenomenal. It had me
Yeah,
rolling.
I had that literally planned for like a year, like literally since the end of since I uploaded the original ranking video, and everyone was commenting about how annoyed they were about it. I was like, I'm gonna meme on these people so hard when I make this video.
Even in the video that came out today, I loved it. It had me it had
Yeah.
me grinning from ear to ear.
Every time I just love making like pissing those people off that like just love it. It's just so funny to me that people are so passionate about Pip for some reason. Like it's the most random thing. So it's kind of just gonna, I think it's gonna become my trademark that I'm just gonna just destroy Pip at any instance I can.
Well down the road, it's not even a South Park video. Just have Pip.
Yeah.
Pip is
it'll stay around for sure.
It's fun stuff. Well, we appreciate your time here. Is there anything you'd like for the people to know? Let them know you're here. What you've got to offer.
Just you guys can check out. I'm sure you're aware. Just check out my YouTube if you want to. You can follow me on Twitter too. It's linked in all my stuff.
We'll link it in the description as well.
Yeah, my voice just cracked. Jesus. That's really it. Thank you guys for having me. I had fun. This was a good time.
Oh, dude, thank you for coming on. This is incredible. Like I feel humbled that you would be willing to take a whole hour out of your day just to talk to me.
Of course, man. I'm not doing anything anyways, and I had a good time, so I'm glad to do it.
This is an honesty first podcast. You are not the first guest I've ever tried to reach out to.
I'm sure.
You are the first person who ever responded to me, and when it was a week late, I'm like, well, I get it. We're a small podcast. I understand.
Yeah,
and then you got back to me. I'm like, oh my god, no way.
I gotta think of it. The way I think of it is just like I think about when I was starting making videos. If I reached out to someone like that, I would want them. It would be crazy if they responded and decided to help me. So I'm like, yeah, I'll help people trying to come up. It's hard to get started, so might as well, right?
Oh. Yeah, you're a good man. If we ever have the fortune you have, then we're definitely going to be paying it forward.
No, you guys are on your way. I can tell.
Oh, yeah.
This was very well set up and well made. I could tell. So.
Oh, I'm trying.
You guys are on your way.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. We'll let you get back to whatever you're doing. I think it said Rocket League on Discord.
Yeah, I was just kind of sitting in free play, just driving around while we were talking. So, yeah.
Fun stuff. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and we wish you all the best in your future projects.
All right, of course. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.
All right,
good night.
Well, there you guys have it. Blooms was the best. Go check out his channel if for some reason you haven't yet. It's linked down below as well as his Twitter. But thank you guys very much for listening. It'd be super cool if you could follow, subscribe, rate, review, or whatever else you can do to engage with us as we're trying to get growing and all that stuff. And we will see you next week on Analog Sticks. Bye-bye.